Welcome to Creepy and Geeky. I'm your host, Robert, and on today's show, I'm joined by returning guest Sarah Stubbs to talk about Zach Creggor's Weapons. Sarah Stubbs is an online content creator with a passion for all things pop culture, especially food and horror. All of these passions played into her creating Sarah Stubbs Says, as well as her other projects, including the hashtag 100 Horror Movies in 92 Days challenge. Sarah co founded the site Geeks Who Eat with her husband Matthew in 2015 and is the co host of the Final Girls Feast podcast. Welcome back to the show, Sarah.
Hello.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's been a while.
we've hit 100 episodes on Final Girls Feast finally. It only took us like 5 years.
And I just hit 200 just a little bit ago, too.
To
So,
be fair, we did take a year hiatus off because my
yeah,
co-host's daughter was having some health issues, and
yeah,
so we just basically just put the podcast on the shelf, let them,
yeah,
work that through that, and we came back and
yeah.
we had a
Oh, that's
full
awesome.
year. We just took November off and that was it. And it was planned and we were like, yeah. So we got some good stuff planned and we just did the platform and it was really depressing and we were like, "Oh my gosh, why did we choose this downer of a movie?" And
Right.
it's
Oh,
a
that's
good
funny.
movie, but we were both just like, wow, this was a bummer. Our next movie is going to be Practical Magic, so we're
Oh,
like
okay.
palate cleanser. Let's
Right.
have some feel good, midnight margaritas.
There you go. Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, Sarah Stubbs has been on the podcast before. Like I said, she's been on here, I think
I
once or
think just
twice.
once,
Yeah, I think
just
just
once. I
once.
think we did
Um,
Kill
eh,
Bill.
yeah, and then and I've been on Final Girls Feast once as well. We did The Witch on
Yes,
that one. So,
yes.
yeah,
Oh, that was so long ago. My
it
goodness,
was. I know. So, yeah, it's been forever.
it has been a minute.
So yeah. So, but it's great. It's great having you back. It's been a while, but it's great to have you
Yeah.
back on, and we're gonna talk a little bit of food, not a whole lot of food on this
There's
episode,
a
but
lot of food in this movie, though. Just to be
sure,
fair, there is a lot of
true,
food in this movie.
true, yeah, yeah. But that's not my focus.
No.
But my focus is just to talk about it and have fun talking about it. So,
Heck yeah.
um, but yeah, so this is Weapons that just came out in 2025, Zach Creger's newest movie. For me, and I haven't really mentioned this very much, but this is one of my top movies of the year, of last year, because this just kind of hits a lot of my buttons in terms of horror and comedy and that kind of black comedy type styling. Just really dark comedy, and just he did it so well. He just balanced it so well. And because you feel unnerved the whole time. um but there's just like this undercurrent of just humor going throughout the whole thing, which I loved. It's like every he learned what he did right in Barbarian and kind of just amped that up in much better ways, I think. And I loved Barbarian, but I loved Weapons even more. So, but what did you think of Weapons?
I really liked Weapons, and I was really hesitant going in because I did not like Barbarian. I thought Barbarian was a Castle Freak ripoff. I was like, this is not original. This guy doesn't have an original thought in his brain. Like I didn't know. And then I went in and saw this and I was like, oh damn, I like this one. This one hit for me. Like
Right.
I know people hate throwing around the phrase hagsploitation, but
Mm-hmm.
I feel like last year there was a lot of like hagsploitation and like people are like, oh, it's he doesn't, like women or something. And I'm just like, I think he just makes really interesting crone like characters
Yeah.
and which plays heavily into the witchiness of this film,
Mm-hmm.
which I also appreciate. And I liked Amy Madigan's performance in this is like
Oh man,
insane. Like
she's so
she's
good.
just
I didn't even realize it was Amy Madigan until the credits, and it said Amy Madigan in the credits. I was like, wait, oh my God, because I didn't recognize her as
yeah.
Gladys the whole time. So I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I really liked it a lot and
Oh
I
yeah.
had fun with it and I think by the time it gets to the end when everything just goes bonkers, like it's
Yeah.
so wild. And I saw it in a screening, and like the audience was just like they
Mm,
didn't know what to do. Like they were like laughing but feeling kind of,
that's
you could tell people
awesome.
were like, I shouldn't feel bad or I shouldn't like that I'm laughing, but they were having a good time with it. And so it was just it was a wild experience to see theatrically, and
Yeah,
I'm glad I didn't skip it. Like I was,
yeah.
because I was really like, ah, this guy, and because I did not, Barbarian did not work for me.
That's
It did.
so funny because it totally worked for me. So,
Like I need
um,
to
eh,
go. I have not watched it since it came out, so I am gonna go
yeah,
back and eventually like rewatch it and see if like now that I don't have like an expectation, if I like
yeah,
it better.
yeah.
And so
I think,
maybe
yeah, I
I
think
like the
that's the,
first half of Barbarian. I don't like where it goes. Like
yeah, I can
it
understand that.
feels it felt too much like two separate movies that got shoehorned together, whereas I feel like Weapons really, the formatting of Weapons really
Yeah,
works. And I like how it breaks itself apart in the ways that
right.
it does.
Well, and I kind of talk about that a little bit in my last episode when I talked about Barbarians too, was that when he did Barbarians, he originally wrote just the first part. The whole stuff with Keith and Tessa, Keith and Tess, with that whole uncomfortableness, and it was basically based on a book he read about how women ignore red flags. And so then once he got to that point, he's like, okay, well, there's more of a movie here that I could. He's like, I could make this into more of a movie, and he really wanted to like mess with the format and do stuff like that. And so I think definitely go back and rewatch it if you have a chance to. You still might not like it. I mean, that's fine. I think that it's the same thing with me. Is like if there's something that I didn't like in a movie originally when I first watch it, especially if the expectations were high. Because Barbarian did get a lot of people talking
It
when
got
it first
hyped,
came out. It got
that
hyped
was
up.
one that
Yep.
I didn't like go see like immediately.
Yeah.
I waited like a week or two, and so at the time this was
Yeah.
like horror Twitter, like because we weren't all on
Yeah.
Blue Sky yet, and
Yeah.
so everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, Barbarian's the best thing on earth! It's the best horror movie of the year!" Da, da, da.
Yeah.
And I just was like, it was fine. I didn't like
Yeah.
hate it, but I
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like, uh, like
Yeah. It just
I don't
wasn't
know
your
that I
thing.
ever.
Yeah.
I so maybe like I'll go back and like it wasn't like offensive to me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well,
like
and I
I'll
think
give
that,
it another
yeah.
shot.
And I think, and you still might not appreciate it, and that's fine. But I think that's good though that you said that. But that's the same thing with me. It's like I definitely feel you on that one because I wasn't originally super hyped on going and seeing it when it first came out. I definitely saw people talking about it on Twitter and it was getting a lot of buzz and I was like, okay, I'll go check it
Fine.
out.
That
I'll
was
go
kind
check
of
it
how
out.
it
Yeah.
was for me too.
Yeah. And for me, I was honestly like, oh my God, okay, this movie's great. This is, it was in my top 10 of the year. And I had a lot of fun with it, but I can see it's definitely a movie that's pretty divisive. It seems like a movie that most people either love or hate. There's rarely in the middle. But there's people who are in
Yeah.
the middle, kind of like you.
I
Um,
think what works for me about this movie is what didn't work for me with Barbarian. Like
right.
I love the third act of this movie and how wild it gets. But like the way that Barbarian got wild in its third act felt kind of like over the top, and at that point I was like, okay, I'm so like ready to not do this anymore. Like
Yeah.
I was, and so where
Well,
this movie I liked, maybe it's just that
right.
I liked the witchy aspects of this movie
Right.
versus the just like guy keeping women in his
Yeah.
like little
Basement.
tower
Yeah.
basement,
Yeah.
yeah, thing. And so maybe that was just like that
Yeah.
plot line did not appeal, whereas
Yeah.
this one really did.
Well, and I think the thing about it too is that there is a weapons feels tonally even. Even when there's the comedy, the
Yes.
light moments in it, it doesn't feel so wildly off. Whereas with Barbarian, you have this first section where you're uncomfortable and but things seem to be going okay. And then at the end of that first section, things get weird. And then it smash cuts to the Justin Long bit, and you're just like, what is going on now? And it's this whole different storyline going. And I could totally understand why people are just like thrown off by it because of the tonal shift in it and just it messes with people's expectations,
I
which
wonder
I
if at this
liked, but I
point,
get that, it's
I
just it's jarring for people.
I have to wonder at this point though if Justin Long likes being typecast as the asshole,
Oh, I
because like
think
I feel like
so.
in every movie he's just an asshole, and I'm
Yeah,
like, why? Like I can't imagine, like, maybe in real life he's an asshole, but I haven't heard that. So I'm like, why is he always in this, like,
right.
asshole role? Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, can I just get a movie where I like him? I
Well, I
want
think in
to
the
like him in a
beginning,
movie.
I think he did in the beginning. He was playing the kind of nerdy guys and stuff like that. And I think
Yeah.
he started to play against type just to have fun with that. And then he found that it works well
Everybody
for him.
wants, yeah, everybody
Yeah.
wants him to be the asshole. And
So,
I'm like,
yeah.
oh, come on. Let
Which
him
is
be a
funny
good
because
guy
in
for
this movie,
once.
he's in Weapons as well in a very small role, but he's not playing the asshole. So, so
That's
he's
true.
playing more of a normal guy. But yeah, so I think, I think that's where Weapons, like Barbarians definitely succeeded. I think it did well. But I do think that Weapons was huge.
Yeah.
Weapons immediately like out the gate, when the trailers were hitting, um, it was everybody was on board. It seemed like everybody was like, "Oh, this is something that like that's going to be incredible." And big buzz was happening over it. And I was on board from the beginning, just from the first trailers. And so I was like, "Okay, this is good." And after having seen it, I only watched it one time in the theater, and I just watched it for the second time now.
Yeah,
And
same.
yeah, and still blown away by it. It's just so like good in what it's doing. It's still a weird, wild story. But I think he learned um better in terms of storytelling and editing and stuff like that. And he did say that he got a lot of help from David Fincher, mostly in post, in how to, because he said something about how there's even because when he filmed, he was like, okay, well, the scene is done. I've got all these takes. I can just choose from these takes. And then Fincher told him, no, 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 no. You can still play with things in editing and all this other stuff that will help you adjust whatever you want for it.
Yeah.
And I think that really, really helped in terms of how he crafted this movie. And I think it really helped define the way the story was in this compared to Barbarian. So I
Yeah.
think it
I
definitely
would
was a huge level up.
I would say on my second watch, I felt the length a little more this time
Yeah, I did
around.
too. I
Like it
looked at my
felt
phone
a
a little
little
bit too
long.
much.
Yeah, I was like, okay, this feels longer than it did when I sat in the theater, and maybe it's because
Yeah.
like I knew the beats that were coming,
Yeah, I
so
think
it
that's
it
all it is. Yeah.
and so I do think that this movie could be helped by just a touch of editing. I think like there's a few scenes that maybe are
Yeah.
just a little too long, and
Yeah.
like just a little bit
The
of trimming. Not like
well,
I
and
don't think you need to take out like whole chunks of the
no,
movie,
no,
but I feel like this did not need to be over 2 hours.
no.
I think had it
Yeah,
been at 2 hours or maybe just under, and we would have been like right in the like it could have been from like a 4-star movie to a 5-star movie,
right.
I
Well,
think,
I
for
think it's
me.
interesting too because while you're watching it, you get all these different storylines. They shift perspectives. And you get the story from whoever they're following this time. In the first part, it's from the teacher, um, and I can't remember her first name now. And then it's Josh Brolin's character, and then it's like they shift to each of the different characters in this, and it's interesting to see it that way because you do see certain scenes differently, like the scene
Hmm.
where the cop guy goes into the bar and meets Justine.
Justine.
um yeah, meets her. The scene is slightly different. One, it's from his perspective, but then two, it's like it's definitely a different take, so it's differently, like, there's moments that are different, and he's said that it's cut that way so that if you when you're watching it, you're seeing it from those perspectives. And I like that. I like that things were just different, just different enough.
Yeah.
But that being said, those are the things I think you could cut because I don't think as much as they're fun, I don't think they were necessary to the story because there was nothing about perception being part of the overall storyline that was necessary to get us to
and
that
not
end.
and not everybody's had like enough new like viewpoint or perspective to
Yeah.
like really feel like, oh, I really got something from that.
Yeah, right, right.
Like, now that said, I feel like Benedict Wong's segment, like his segment, I think was flawless. I
Yeah.
love that whole piece.
Yeah.
I think not only do we learn about him and his partner, we learn more about Gladys and everything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that was like, for me, that's probably my strongest segment.
Yeah. Yeah,
And I
for
like
sure.
that one quite a bit.
Yeah. No, and I think that's what's interesting about it all. Like it's I think that there could have been some cuts here and there, but like once it reaches that point and once you're starting to get Gladys's kind of story and everything like that, it rips along. It like that's where it really like the setup of all the characters in the beginning um is fine. But you could trim just a little bit here and there to make it go just a little bit
Yeah, like
faster.
I
And
think
then
10 minutes is
yeah,
like all you need to
yeah,
trim from the movie
yeah,
total. Like
yeah,
a minute here and there. Like no, there's no scene in this
right.
film where I'm like absolutely none of that is needed.
Yeah. No.
Like there's
I don't
never a
even know
moment
if
in that.
necessarily, yeah, I don't even know if necessarily 10 minutes, but just like, I don't know, some just easier, quick editing just to make it just flow just slightly faster. Like I said, maybe just those little bits and pieces of like, they do try to condense the parts where you've already seen it. So they're like, okay, we'll try and condense these parts so it's not as um annoying to have to rewatch this scene, even if it is from the different perspective. So I do appreciate that, but yeah, I can get that they was slightly it did feel slightly a little bit longer in this on this watch, but again. That may have just been because I was at home. I'd seen it, like you said. We knew what beats to expect. We were just waiting for those specific beats to drop. And because it's been a while since we've obviously watched the movie, that there is um the what we remembered and don't remember because we were expecting certain things and maybe because like I was watching I was like, oh, this is taking a long while to get to the Gladys bit and I just didn't realize that that's actually how the movie was. And it's just like, okay, that makes sense though. They don't want to like throw off everything, in the beginning, so they're
Yeah.
just kind of building the story up. But
Yeah,
sure,
I
could
was
have been
like
edited.
why like I was like we've got to be almost like we're getting to the good
Right.
part and then it's like you still have an hour and 10 minutes and I'm like, "What?
Yeah,
What?"
I got about halfway through. I clicked it to see how much time was left, and I was like, "Oh, I still have half the
You
movie
still
left.
got like
That's
a
weird."
whole movie.
Yeah, yeah. And again, it never bored me or anything like that.
No, it's just
It was
like
always
there's
good and
just like
everything like
moments where it just
yeah,
feels a little long.
yeah.
Like
But
it's not like
I think it's just because we knew what to expect. And I think that really on that second watch, you're just itching to get to the real good meat of it. And the
yeah.
setup is fun and everything. It has really great moments and all that. But it does really just kind of you really want to get to that really good part, especially with the Aunt Gladys stuff that just you're just like
Come
itching to
on,
get to. And
bring on the
and
fun
it's not
part.
until past half the movie. Yeah. So you're just like, what the hell is going on? So, but that's not to say this movie isn't creepy and weird the whole fucking time. So, because it really is. So it's great. It really is, all the stuff that Justine's going through, the stuff that Josh Brolin's character is going through, all that stuff. There's a lot of creepy moments in there, and I love that for it because it definitely I don't mind a slow burn as long as it's entertaining. And for the most part, it was entertaining and I had no problems with it. So it was a lot
Yeah,
of
and
fun.
there has to be a payoff. And this
Yes.
movie definitely has the
Oh, it pays
payoff
off
at the
hard.
end.
Yeah.
Like, so
Yeah.
you're like, okay, that was worth it.
Yeah.
And
No,
I that's
absolutely.
a lot for me to say because I am not a like if a movie is over 90 minutes, you better be earning my love. Like you have to like I
Yeah.
am a sub 80-minute movie kind of a gal these days. Like if it's
Yeah.
over an hour and a half, I'm just like, did we need to? Did we
Right.
really need to go there?
Well, and I think it's interesting too because I definitely have this problem that if I watch a movie at home, I'm grabbing my phone. I'm getting distracted. And I try not to do that, especially if it's a movie I haven't seen before. But it's real easy to do. But in the movie theater, my phone is put down. It's not, I
Yeah.
don't, other than looking at the time, I don't really look at my phone. I'm focused in, I'm watching the movie.
Oh, I
And
don't
there's
even,
definitely,
I have the benefit of being a person who carries a purse. So I just put my phone in my purse zipped up so I
yeah,
can't even look at it. Like
yeah,
there's just no putting it like but what I do I try to do sometimes at home if I really want to focus on a movie, I will go put my phone in the other room.
yeah.
Like I will like put it like completely away from me. And that does help.
Yeah, yeah. So I know that's definitely like I think with this kind of movie, this movie kind of demands for you to just kind of like put your phone away, don't focus on it because you really need to focus on what's going on because you do miss things. You miss little things
Yeah.
here and there if you're not paying attention.
I
Um
love the detail that they're watching that Benedict Wong's character and his partner are
mhm.
watching a documentary about parasites,
Parasites and the
like
teacher
fungi,
also was talking
and
about
she's
parasites in
yeah,
class. Yeah.
like I have like my notes from when I saw it in the theater, and I wrote that I was like, parasites are a thing, underline, like. And
Yeah.
I was like, I caught that, and I felt so smart when I saw it in the theater. I was like, I got it, yeah, parasites, and
That's funny.
so, but
Yeah.
I
No,
very
it's
much
and it plays into the movie too, because it's definitely what Aunt Gladys is doing is basically parasitic, So,
uh-huh.
um, but I want to talk about the actors and the characters and stuff like that. So we have Julia Garner playing Justine Gandy, which I think is funny because it's JG and JG. Um, but I didn't catch that until just now as I was saying it. Um, I not a huge fan of Julia Garner. She's okay.
I kind of
I'll
feel
say
the
this.
same. Like, I know a lot of people get hyped on her because of, I
Yeah,
think, what is it? Ozark? Is that the show? Was it
I think
Ozarks?
so. Yeah,
No. Or I know, and I don't think she's bad.
I don't think she's bad.
I'm,
I think it's very movie specific. I liked her in this. I did not like her in Wolfman, but I didn't like Wolfman at all. I
yeah,
thought
I
that
was
was a
gonna say,
terrible movie.
I don't think any actress could have saved Wolfman.
Oh
Like,
no,
that movie
no,
was just,
no,
that movie was
no.
just so dull and kind of
Oh,
meaningless. Like, it had no,
right?
it felt like it had no point. Like, after I watched
Yeah,
it, I was like, why did I watch this? Like, what
yeah.
did I get anything at all?
No. And then it's so funny too because the werewolf design was leaked during the Universal Hollywood Horror
I
Nights
thought
thing,
they were
and
fucking with us.
I
I was
thought they
like,
were
they
too.
have to
Everybody
be.
did, and then they weren't, and it was literally that design, and I was like, "What the hell? Like, how do you not like? I don't know.
How?
How, yeah, how
I'm
was that your
scared
design?
I'm scared to go back, and a friend of mine said this, and I agree with him. I'm scared to go back and watch Invisible Man because what if it's not as good as we all remember? I've not seen it since it was out in the theater. Like
I didn't.
I saw
I
it in the
will
theater.
admit, I
I
didn't care
own
for
it.
it. So
I liked it. I liked it at the time,
yeah,
but I'm like, what if I was just on the hype train?
I
Now, I will say that I do generally like Lee Wanell. Like Upgrade is a phenomenal movie.
Upgrade is great. Upgrade is great.
But again, that's another one that I haven't watched in forever. And so I'm like,
Same.
what if I don't like Lee Wanell? What if I just like Saw?
Now, Saw is unimpeachable. I will admit, Saw is
Yeah,
great.
no, like, but
Saw is great.
that's like
Well,
my
and this is
question though. I'm
well,
like,
this
what
is
if
the
I
same
only
thing.
like that?
Well, this is the same thing. I don't care for anything else that James Wan has done. I don't care about the
Okay, so
Conjuring movies.
I love those movies. I'm a
I don't.
if they made
They're
20 more of those movies, I would still be in the front of the line saying, "Take my dang money."
no.
I know that Ed and Lorraine Warren were terrible
Oh, they're
frauds in
terrible
real
people. Yeah.
life, but Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson
No.
version, I'm
Yeah.
all about them. I love that idea. I love the concept of like this like couple doing
Right.
it, and so I like that stuff.
I don't
But
really
I
care
also
about haunted house stuff, I think,
oh
and I
see,
think
and
that's
I
a
like a
part of
lot of
it.
that.
I think also if they had just kind of renamed the characters instead of actually, they could say they're based on Ed and Lorraine, but then make them their own characters, then I think that would have really helped people in the long run. And
Yeah,
I
I
think
can
that's
see
what
that.
happened is it tainted the brand the more it went on. And that's why more and more people just dropped
Well,
off of it.
to also be fair, it wasn't really all that well known by the public until probably closer to the third movie, I think, is when all of the stuff about like Ed really came out.
Yeah.
And so for a lot of people, they were already like, when you factor in like the Annabelle movies and the Conjureverse, at that
Yeah.
point, we're already like seven movies in. And so people were kind of
Right.
like, well, what do you
I
do?
think I suspect the franchise is pretty much over after the fourth movie because I don't think the fourth movie did that well.
Actually,
So
there's supposedly going to be a TV show.
that's so
But
funny.
here's the thing. Here's the thing that actually the fourth movie did do pretty well for them.
Did it? Okay.
But and I liked it, but it was in my opinion a perfect ending. Like
Okay. Yeah. Well,
they
that's what it
should
sounded
stop.
like too, was that yeah,
Like
they should.
they
Yeah.
should stop. Like as much as I love those movies and I would support a Conjureverse kind of deal if they wanted to build out from it,
Yeah.
I think Ed and Lorraine movie Ed and Lorraine's story is done and should be done. Like
Yeah.
they should just
Yeah.
stop it. It had the like perfect movie ending in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I'm with you on James Wan because I'm not like a big Malignant fan. I
Oh,
watched it once and I hated
thank
it.
you. Thank you.
I was
Oh
like
my
this
God.
is the
I feel like
dumbest
I'm the
twist.
only one.
I called the twist within the first like 10 minutes
Same.
because like
I
it
called
was
it at the
phoned
credits.
in. Yep, same.
Yeah.
It was phoned in and then I watched it and I was like I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm not like a big Jalo fan and it was very Jalo
Very
inspired.
jello. Yep.
And I was like, it just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
Like
It
I
didn't work for me either. It was over the top in a way that I like it was weirdly like because everybody's like, oh my God, this is so camp and blah blah blah. And I'm like, this is not camp in the way that I'm thinking of. There's camp moments, but they're treating this very seriously through a lot of this, and it doesn't make any sense.
yeah, none
And
of it made sense.
like Megan was more the camp that I was thinking that Malignant was going to be. And so like when I watched Malignant, I just like that was a movie that the hype was way too high and I just did not get it. I was like,
I was
no.
not. I was like meh, meh.
But yeah, so I
Like
think go ahead.
maybe I'll watch it again. Maybe now that the hype train on it is down and
I don't think it'll get any better.
I don't really have high hopes, but maybe I'll
Yeah.
just give it another shot. Like, maybe it needed an edible or something. Like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
there's sometimes like a movie benefits from like a
Sure.
cocktail or an edible or some sort of, release. Like maybe
Yeah.
that's the key, but it wasn't for me.
As a person who does not partake in those substances,
Then you
it
may
doesn't it's
just
not
it's
going to
never
help
gonna
for
fix
me.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep, you
So
are SOL on that
I'm
one.
screwed on that one. Yeah. So, and that's fine. Like, and again, I think this just plays into a lot of stuff. Like, I know people, I have the hottest takes, and I'm always like, okay,
You're
but whatever.
talking to the person who defends Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2,
Oh
and
my
Jason Goes
God.
to Hell. Like
Okay,
those
so I
are
don't
two
agree with
movies
Jason
that
Goes to Hell, but Book of Shadows is on
I
my
mean,
list. So
I seem to just love all of Texas Chainsaw 3D, also something I will staunchly defend
I
with
don't
my
care about
dying breath.
well, see, and I don't care about the Texas Chainsaw series at all.
Oh
So
gosh, that's like my favorite. That's probably my favorite franchise. Like at this
I
point,
try I tried to watch the series. I've watched at least half of the movies, and they're fine. I don't hate them. I just think they're just okay. And there's nothing like I don't find them to be wildly that good. And so that's why I'm just like, but again, I'm a huge Evil Dead fan, and I know there's people who don't give a shit about Evil Dead. So
I have weird hot takes with Evil Dead. I very much everybody loves Evil Dead 2. Not my favorite. I
Army
love
of
Evil
Darkness
Dead.
is my
Like
favorite.
OG
Yeah.
Evil Dead is my favorite. Like I think
Well, and
that
that's
one is
fine.
the
Yeah.
most fun. But I did love Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah. I mean, I
It was
like
a
them
good time.
all for different reasons, So I mean, that's I think Evil Dead 2 enhanced what Evil Dead 1 was. Army of Darkness takes it in a whole different direction.
Yeah.
And then Evil Dead 2013 is a great remix, redo. Shut up. Uh,
Y'all couldn't see the face I just made because I do not care for that movie. I do
oh,
not.
see, I like that one. I love that
I'm
one.
like the horse from Ren and Stimpy, no sir, I didn't like it. Like
And then Evil Dead Rise is great. I thought it was great too. It's taken. I can't wait for Evil Dead Burn. So
yeah,
that's going to
I'm
be,
definitely excited to see what they do.
yeah.
I think my big issue with Evil Dead 2013 was that for being called an Evil Dead movie, it didn't really feel Evil Dead to me.
It doesn't
And
have the
then
humor. So, and
yeah,
that's, I can understand that. It went really for the gore part of the Evil Dead, which is great. It does really go for that, which the Evil Dead franchise is known for, is the really intense gore. But it didn't have
but
any of the humor to it. So, and I can see where people don't like that part of it. Go ahead.
well, and because of how gory it is and how over the top the gore part is, like the guy who gets like shot with the nail gun like a cajillion
Yeah.
times and then
Yeah.
like gets like something like I think it was like a glass mirror in his eye and then it's like
Yeah.
something really minor takes him out. I was like without the comedic aspects of all of that,
Right.
you're asking me to suspend too much disbelief. Like if you're going to make something serious,
Right.
my sense of belief is going to be serious. And
Yeah.
so when I watched that, I was like, well, that no, like no, come on, guys,
Yeah.
no.
See, none of that took me out.
And so, but I'm weird. I have weird movie rules on my brain apparently. So,
Well, let's get back because we started this just talking about Julia Garner. So it just went wildly off topic. So,
story of
which
my
is,
life.
yeah, same here. So I think she's doing okay. In this movie, I liked her. I thought she was great in this movie. So I think she is very much a movie specific actress. Going back to what we were talking about before with The Invisible Man, I don't like Elizabeth Moss. I don't think she's a good actress.
I
So
I feel like for her it is also movie specific. I don't think
yeah,
she was terrible in that movie,
right.
but I think generally she's very stiff.
Yeah, yeah. There's some people who just like, yeah, that I think that's it. Maybe in a very specific movie role, she could be okay in where stiffness works, but she did
Yeah.
definitely. There's definitely a stiffness to her acting that I've just always like. I don't get it. I don't get why people love her so much. Um. But Josh Brolin, playing Archer
Oh,
in
so
this,
good.
so good in this. I mean, Josh Brolin is one of those actors that I think is he's up there in terms of stuff, but I think he's still vastly underrated.
Agreed.
And
Agreed. And as he gets older, I think he's getting better.
yes,
Like
he gets
like
better.
he's
Yeah,
my husband and I were literally just talking about this like oh no, maybe it wasn't Matthew and me. Maybe it was my friend Brian and me. But whoever, we were just talking about how Josh Brolin as he's aged, he's kind of got this like grittiness to him
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
so good. Like
yeah.
everything he's in lately, it's just he's so good in it. When he was in Dune, oh, so good. Like I'm really and this he does really well. And he kind of
Yeah.
plays like that good like he's a good guy, but he's still kind of an ass.
Well, because he's kind of an ass because his son is the big bully of the school and everything like that
Yeah.
too. So I just and it was something I didn't even realize till the end of the movie. I was like, oh, his kid is the bully. I was like, that's so weird. And so I was like, well, that kind of makes sense because he's kind of an asshole in the beginning too. Now he does soften at one point.
Yes.
But I think that's just because of circumstances.
But he's
But I
good at
think
doing
losing his
depth.
kid, yeah, losing his kid, I think both hardened him more and then softened him. I think that it was just there was all
Also
that going.
realizing that Justine was not really the
Yeah,
cause. Like
yeah,
then he was like, "Oh crap, I fucked up."
yeah, yeah.
Like
So and he was willing to kind of like admit the mistake. And that was
mhm.
interesting though too, because there's a moment in there too where there's this whole thing where he's talking to one of the guys that works for him about the paint and the paint getting
Mhm.
mixed up and stuff. And he does admit the mistake of that. So I think I'll backtrack a little bit and I'll say I think he is a person who is one of those people who's kind of headstrong but will admit his mistakes.
Yeah.
And he seems to do that a couple of times in this movie. So um Alden Ehrenreich as Paul in this it's so funny to see him and stuff now too, because he's not a he's an actor I recognize, of course, because he was in Solo. But he's such he's such a weird actor, and he's doing I haven't seen him in a lot, but the roles that I've seen him in have been unique. In this
I
one,
don't
and
think
also
is he
in
doing a lot? I don't think
he
he's
might not
doing a
be.
lot.
Well, he was also in Ironheart. So he was in Ironheart. He was in this. Um, yeah, it's possible he's just not doing a
I
lot.
think he's not
Um,
doing a whole lot of
Weapons,
film.
Ironheart. He was in Oppenheimer. He was in Cocaine Bear. Oh yeah, he was great in Cocaine Bear too. Um, which is a wild ass movie. But yeah, he's just yeah, he hasn't been in a ton since
Mm-mm.
Solo.
He's
Looking at his
done one,
IMDb.
two. He's done one, two, three, uh,
Done like three
three.
TV shows. Yeah.
Yeah, and like he made a short. He filmed a short. It looks like in
Mm,
2023.
yeah. Yeah.
But that's really it. Like he's just not doing like he did
Yeah.
TV. Like if he's on Ironheart, he was probably pretty busy for a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know Ironheart got shelved, so I think that was like one of those things where he did it probably not too long after, because there is a gap. If you see, like, he goes from 2023 Oppenheimer to
Mhm.
2025 Ironheart. So I think that he didn't have anything in 2024, so he must have filmed Ironheart in 2020.
Yeah.
And same with Weapons, I would assume. But yeah, so I think he's an interesting actor. I think he's very good in the things I've seen him in, and he's taken weird, interesting choices. So I think that's I appreciate actors who do that.
I don't think
Um,
I even remembered that he was in Oppenheimer.
I haven't seen
He
Oppenheimer, so I don't know.
he must oh, it's because he's like a Senate aide. He's not like a
Yeah,
big character.
yeah.
That
There
would
were
be
so
why I
many
did not
people.
even
Well, yeah, and there were so many people in Oppenheimer. It's easy to miss like so many of the people who were there.
Yeah.
Benedict Wong, of course, we mentioned before, and he's been great in everything I've seen him in, but I haven't seen him in much outside of the Marvel movies, of course. Um, but he's great in that.
I
Um,
forgot he was in Annihilation.
oh yeah, yeah, I have seen that. Um, but
Great
yeah, so he's
movie.
great in this. It's a great role. He plays that pivotal part, like you said, in that in the part with the when we first meet Aunt Gladys. Um, it's a great little bit there. Um, and scary as hell too. Like just watching him just be all like freaked out and running and
And she's
going
just like,
after her.
"Oops. Oops,
Yeah.
can I have a bowl? Can I have
Yeah.
a bowl?" I don't
And he's
even,
like,
it's so weird. I don't even like defend it anymore. Like, I don't even quantify it. Like,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be like, get out of my house, bowl lady. Like,
Right? Yeah. She's such a weird, like a weirdly like made up person. It's so funny too, because I'll go into this in a little bit. But let's go ahead and talk about Amy Madigan as Gladys, because like that's she's the like centerpiece of this whole movie, and it takes
she's
so
the
long to
thing
even
that
get to her. So
she's
go
like
ahead.
what you remember about this movie. Like,
Yeah,
I feel like
absolutely.
when you like if you say weapons to anybody, oh, that's the one with the weird old lady with the red hair. Like,
And the kids running
that's
like Naruto,
uh-huh.
That's literally the two things that
That's
people
it.
like really recognize it for.
And chicken noodle
Um,
soup.
chicken noodle soup. Yeah. So he gave her the choice of wigs to wear, and that's the one she chose. And also there was a little bit of they said there was some backstory. She got to choose her backstory in this, um, which I thought was interesting. Because it really did. I don't know if it would have changed the story any. Because you would think not.
I don't
I'm
think
trying
it
to
would.
find.
I think the way the current was more of the than the back. But like when they changed the backstory, would they be saying like she's not a witch?
Okay,
Like
so here you go. Zach Creggor revealed that he told Amy Madigan she could pick between two different options for the Gladys backstory. He said, I was like, you can pick one of these two. Option one, Gladys was just a normal person using dark magic to cure her disease. She had to adopt this methodology that she uses out of a place of emergency to keep herself alive. I won't say any more than that. Option two, Gladys was a non human creature who was using her bizarre makeup and wig in a poor attempt to mimic humans. That's an interesting way to think about it. I like that a lot. So, so see,
I
being
like
a
it better
non
the way
human,
that
I
I
think,
like it
yeah, no,
better the way
absolutely.
it went. But that's also because I'm not really like a sci-fi person. So if it was
Yeah.
that she was like a creature, I would be like, I probably would have been like, get out of here. Meh.
Well, it would have been okay, I think, if it hadn't been alien and more cryptid style thing, like maybe something from folklore. I could have gotten down with that for sure. Um,
Maybe.
that
It
would have
depends.
been the
I
only
think it
other
depends on the
option.
creature.
Yeah, yeah. So like something out of folklore, and earthbound mythology or something like that. I could have gotten down on that. But I do like the way they went with it. I think that yes, it could have changed the story, but it also makes me think if he was willing to do that and give her those two things, if she had chosen the non-human creature, how would that have changed the ending, or would it have? Or would we have exactly the same ending we have? We
I
just
mean,
wouldn't have understood that aspect of it. So I think
I
we,
I
that's
feel like
it's
we
weird
would
to
have.
think.
I feel like it would have still maybe had the same ending where like the kids destroy, in that
Yeah,
case, the creature.
right.
But I feel like at that point it wouldn't have had the impact because
I
like
think so too.
there's a lot of like kind of storytelling in this film about like bullying and like humans and I feel like misunderstood people and we assume that Justine is bad at the beginning despite the fact she's wearing like an anti-bullying pin. Like they build the story around her being, you're asking, what
Yeah.
did Justine do? What do we not
Yeah.
know? And so there's like that, like, playing with like, and this is like something with like witchcraft, like witches or people who were not actually witches were accused of being witches, and likely people, in movie
Yeah.
world, people who are witches get away with it because they go unrecognized.
Right.
And so Aunt Gladys being, you know, completely a different person under her wig and weird makeup and being this dark witch character, but going with like no one assuming, like the cops are just like, yeah, whatever. And the principal's like, do I know you? I would remember you, and being very
Yeah.
friendly, and nobody assumes. And I think that that kind of playing with ideas wouldn't work as well if she was just a cryptid.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that the way they went was the perfect way. I think it grounds it in a reality, even though there's magic being involved and stuff like that, it grounds it in a reality we recognize, rather than trying to go for this otherworldly, which again isn't a I don't think is too big of a stretch, but I think for what we were getting in this movie, it might have been. Um,
And it would have
and
been
could
too
have
close to
changed.
barbarian, I feel like, because think about like the character design of the
Yeah,
creep of the woman at the end of Barbarian. That
yeah,
was very I cryptid like,
yeah,
very like non-human,
yeah,
like that, like that woman had been so like dehumanized at that point
yeah.
that she didn't even look human. And so I think
Right.
if he had gone like cryptid route, it just would have felt very samey.
True, true. Yeah,
And so
definitely.
I like that this kind of was more grounded in a reality that
Yeah.
you don't have to suspend a ton of disbelief for.
Right. No, absolutely. And I think that's it's interesting too, because I think once you did humanize it and you talked about her being sick and everything like that, it also, there's moments in there where you do feel, you know, for just a couple of moments, you do feel sorry for Gladys, because she is sick and but the way she's trying to get around it is by hurting other people, and you quickly get over that, that little bit of empathy for her. But
Yeah, it's
I
I
do think
think that
it's
that's like a
interesting to
really
pull that in.
interesting. Yeah, because like it is like how we handle bad things that happen to us. Do we, and like you can you could argue that he's kind of making commentaries on like, bullying and school shootings
Right.
and all this is when you've been bullied or when you face a bad thing, how you handle that is different. And some people, handle it by becoming the bully themselves.
Yeah.
Gladys, she's taken her downturn
Or
and
even somebody like Archer too. Archer becomes this bully kind of character, kind of
mhm.
doing exactly what his son is doing because he's so bereft of what to do. He's so helpless in that situation that that's all he can think to do is just kind of bully his way through it rather than
And yet
trying to figure it out.
Justine is being attacked by the town and being in essence bullied.
Yeah.
And she still wants to help the kids. She's trying to figure out what the hell's
Yeah.
going on. And yes, some of that is to save her own skin,
Right.
but she also cares enough about what's happening that she's like, I don't care if I face consequences. I want to
Yeah.
find out what's happening. And so there's like that how different people handle different situations.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so I do want to talk about this real quick. It's interesting that so this movie had a bidding war for it. Uh, he wrote the script, and allegedly Universal, Netflix, and Sony TriStar and New Line Cinema, who ended up winning it, were all in contention for this. So the deal that they ended up getting, he turned down Netflix because he wanted a theatrical release, and of course, Netflix is known for not doing that as much. Um, but so he went with New Line, and New Line gave him pretty much everything he wanted. He got an eight-figure sum for the money, a guaranteed green light for production, final cut privileges, um, and most important in closing the deal, the guarantee of a theatrical release. So insiders called it an unprecedented deal in modern times, and it was compared to M. Night Shyamalan's deals after The Sixth Sense. So
Wow. I mean, that makes
basically,
sense because
yeah,
Barbarian did get a lot of hype. And
it was huge.
Barbarian,
Yeah.
like, whether I like it or not, I recognize that the marketing around Barbarian was
Oh yeah,
genius.
it was
Same with
very, very
weapons,
good.
for that
Yeah.
matter.
Oh
Like,
yeah. Yeah.
Warner Brothers' New Line did a great job marketing
Yeah.
weapons. Like, you had
Oh,
no idea
absolutely.
going, like, it's one of the few times I feel like you could watch the trailer and not have any idea what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
so many horror movies, like they basically are just like, we're going to show
They
you
tell you
every
too
scary
much. Yeah.
scene and
There's a
you're going to
new
know what.
one. There's a new one. Sorry, go ahead. What were you saying?
No, I was go ahead. That was
I
it.
was gonna say there's a new movie that's coming out called Undertone, which is really kind of like building some buzz with their marketing too. I think it's an A24 movie.
Oh, you know what? I've seen people talking about that. I don't watch trailers anymore if I can help it. Like I get kind of angry when I go to the movies and I have to watch a trailer because I'm like, I don't want
Let's
to see
see.
this.
I
I don't
love
want to
trailers.
know.
I have no problem with that. Yeah, Undertone. So they just released a trailer or like a 1 minute thing and it's just all audio. And it's just
Oh,
creepy audio
interesting.
going on. But yeah, it's um
It Chapter One was the movie that ruined trailers for me because they showed every single scary scene, like a piece of it,
yeah.
in the trailer. So nothing was left to the imagination or a surprise. And so ever since, I'm like, if I care about a movie, I won't watch the trailer.
Yeah. See, and that for me, it still doesn't bother me because I know that one like that kind of happened with me with Smile. Like there's this one moment in Smile that's in the trailer that would have been great for the movie, but for some reason they put it in the trailer, and you're just like, why did you put that in the trailer? That's such a great moment that should have been a great shock in the movie that should not have been put in the trailer. So that's one
I
of the
mean, then
few times where I've been, yeah, disappointed in that. But go ahead.
there's also the movies that like where they put stuff in the trailer and then it never shows up in the movie and you're just like,
Yeah.
where was that? Frozen
Yes.
2, the end of the Frozen 2, the first Frozen 2 trailer, Anna pulls out a sword that I think Kristoff has. That movie, that scene is nowhere in the movie. And it
Or
looks
or
like
or
you're
Star
like
Wars
Anna's
Rogue
gonna be
One. Yeah.
like,
It's like there's
so
a whole Rogue
frustrating.
One movie out there that doesn't exist. It's just like, where's this movie? So yeah, no, I
Ugh.
totally get that. That's the more frustrating for me is the stuff that they have in the trailer that they end up cutting from the movie. So So I do think this is also interesting too because New Line got this. Universal Pictures was the other closest studio to actually get this, and Jordan Peele would have produced this through Monkey Paw.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
but but Universal offered them $7 million less. Um,
Oh,
and
I
so
bet they kicked themselves in the butt.
so Peele was supposedly ready to provide that money out of his own contractual back end, but Universal were uneasy about the budget as a business proposition and walked away. And Peele and Creggor shared the same manager, which might have caused the conflict of interest. Peele later parted ways with his management. So it was like a big deal because he's like, well, if I'm going to get screwed on doing something, and I know that Jordan Peele was kind of an advisor on Barbarian as well. So I
Yeah.
think it's interesting that he's had these two really good filmmakers as kind of like people to consult with on these two movies, both Jordan Peele for the first one and David Fincher for Weapons. So, and I feel
Yeah.
like Weapons definitely feels like it could exist in a David Fincher-ish kind of it's
Yeah.
definitely got a David Fincher vibe to it. Not in a like, definitely would have been a David Fincher movie because it would have been a wildly different movie that way. Uh but uh but definitely great for that. So
Yeah,
um
I feel like Universal is always a little shaky with horror funding because they work a lot with Blumhouse.
yeah.
And like they do a lot of distribution for Blumhouse, and Blumhouse movies are very hit or miss in terms of making their money back and doing well, and they haven't really
Yeah.
had a good hit lately past like the first Megan movie, and then I
Yeah.
guess Five Nights at Freddy's is doing well because of the youngs, but
Yeah. Yeah,
I
that's
didn't
funny.
see the second one. I
I haven't seen the second one. I don't even think
I
I
don't
watched the
I didn't
first one
like
when
the
it came to
I didn't like
streaming.
the first one.
The first one was fine. It wasn't like I've never played the game, so I don't understand the lore or anything like that. And I know that it was pretty lore heavy. I mostly got what was going on in the movie, so I didn't need to consult like
Hot
a who's
take.
who. Yeah,
Willy's Wonderland was a better Five Nights at Freddy's movie than Five Nights at Freddy's was.
absolutely agreed.
Like I feel like if Willy's Wonderland had not come out first, I could have maybe been like a little bit like more lenient
Yeah,
on like what my thoughts were about the movie. Willy's Wonderland was exponentially better. Like
yeah,
Josh Hutchinson's fine, but you are never going to do better than Nick Cage fighting animatronics and
yeah.
playing
No,
pinball. Like it just was
no.
never going to happen.
It's definitely one of his better roles too, especially as he's fairly quiet throughout the whole movie, which is an interesting
He
take on
doesn't
it.
say a
Yeah,
word.
yeah.
Completely silent.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, I think, overall, I think I really like this movie. I think, the whole bit with what Gladys does to control people um, and that she's basically, siphoning their life force, from them to, keep herself alive, I think is an interesting, thing on that. I know that there's definitely some alcohol related stuff going on in this movie too, because it's mentioned in here too that what is it? Julia Garner and Alden Ehrenreich's characters were both closet alcoholics, and apparently Zach Creggor had been as well, and he'd been in recovery for 10 years. And he was inspired to write this screenplay after the sudden death of his best friend Trevor Moore, who used to work on The Whitest Kids You Know with him.
That's what
And
the
I,
seven hot dogs are. That's a tribute to the whitest
yeah,
kids you know. The seven hot dogs on the tray.
yeah,
Everybody was like, "What is that? What is that?" It's literally a tribute to his like
yeah,
a skit from the whitest kids you know.
yeah. And then because his friend died, I think, let's see. Yeah. So his friend died by falling off a balcony, due to alcohol. So
Wow, that's so
yeah.
sad.
Yeah. So and then at the beginning, the weapons title comes in, and then there's the triangle in there that you see later on. I guess the triangle with the circle around it is also an Alcoholics Anonymous symbol.
Oh,
Um, so I
that makes
think there's
sense.
I think there's a lot of overtones with that kind of embedded into it, that, are meaningful if you recognize that stuff. Which was something I didn't recognize, again, because I said I don't drink. So, um, but I think it was interesting to like read about, because I was like, oh, okay, this makes a lot of sense based on everything you're seeing in this movie and stuff too. Which again, it's so weird too, because it's like, again, being alcoholic could lead to, and then like the one character in here played by Austin Abrams, he's a drug addict and stuff like that. There's all these things about substance abuses and stuff like that. And this goes back into what we were saying earlier about matters of perception and stuff like that. But there's nothing about perception in this movie, about like the different perceptions. And so it's an interesting thing that it's like this underlying thing in the whole movie that just does, there's no play out. And I think it's one of those things where I think it's interesting that movies do sometimes, where it's people can nitpick about it and people get like into the weeds of theories and stuff like that, but this one doesn't go anywhere. So I think
Yeah.
that it's an interesting side thing to think about, but it doesn't really have any play in the movie, and so it really doesn't have a lot to do with it. I just think it's an interesting thing that was a part of the movie itself. So
Yeah, it's like the director putting like a piece of themselves into it and
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
like working through probably some of those
yeah,
things via their film.
yeah. I think it's funny. Amy Madigan immediately named this as one of her favorite roles, being especially excited to get buzzed for being a Halloween costume for the first time in her career. So it's always good when people will dress up as you. So um, I'm just reading stuff off IMDb at this point, just because I do think there are some interesting bits and pieces out of this. Um, it's I think it's interesting too, because people talk about how um, it's the the kids and the adults in this who were taken over by Gladys, whose life force she was siphoning. The longer they were siphoned, the more it was hard for them to come back from. Whereas somebody like Josh Brolin's character Archer, he comes back immediately, after having been taken over from her, because she does the hold on him is a lot less. It's not there for more than just a few minutes. But all the kids, it took them like 2 years, to some of them finally took 2 years to start talking again. So it's interesting to have that. And then his parents, the kid's parents who were taken on, that poor kid too. We got to talk about that. So
Like
this poor kid.
I
Go
think
ahead.
I'm gonna get into the food for a minute because
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I feel like I have this in my notes and talking about Alex and he has to feed his parents soup. And
yeah,
like and he has to feed all these kids soup, including his
yeah,
bully. So there's like an
yeah,
interesting dynamic of Gladys taking from these people while Alex is giving to these
yeah,
people. And his like nurturing and care is probably, it's keeping them alive.
yeah,
But soup is a comfort food and it like subverts that. It's kind of gross. Like he's
yeah,
feeding like this like chicken noodle soup like and he's like a kid so he doesn't know how to make soup. And we just see
right.
all these cans of like soup because that's easy obviously the easiest thing to feed them.
Yeah,
And like the way that Gladys is just like eat some soup.
yeah,
And so like what we normally think of as like soup when we're sick and it's the feel better food and it's completely subverted in this film. And I think
yeah,
that that's so cool and I'm like, "Oh, like I like how they did this." And so
yeah,
I had to talk about the Campbells.
yeah.
It I created a Campbell soup and horror list on Letterboxd because of this movie. And you would be shocked at how many times Campbell soup just shows up in the background of horror movies. It's
Yeah,
always there.
that's funny. I
Always
mean,
there.
to be fair, it because it is a cheap food, it's easy to put in the background of a lot of things, because it's just so cheap to buy
But what's
just some
cool
chicken
also
noodle
though is
soup.
when you watch throughout time the type of soup that gets shown is also different. Like in Jaws, there's like turkey noodle soup, which doesn't even get sold
Yeah.
anymore. Like, so
Right.
like getting to see like the history of Campbell's offerings through
Right.
horror films is also kind of cool.
That is cool.
So,
I like that. Um, but yeah, no, this poor kid, like his parent, like just this this weird aunt comes in, takes over his parents, and like makes them stab themselves in the face just to prove that she can kill them or hurt them at any time just to get this kid to do what she wants. It's just like, man, like this is just ridiculous. And this poor kid, he's got to, play like he doesn't know anything, and meanwhile, like his weirdo aunt is the one doing everything. Um, it's just, I don't know. I felt so bad for this kid. Um,
and then he's still caring about her. Like when she's
yeah,
sick and like throwing up, he's like, "Do you need something? Like, do you need a glass of water?" Like he's such like he's the
he's a
opposite of her.
kid.
And
Yeah, yeah,
I think that that dynamic of the two of them
yeah,
mirroring how she's taking from everybody and he's no matter what just giving to everybody
yeah,
is a really interesting like visual.
yeah. No, absolutely. No, it's just, yeah, it's, let's see. Yeah. And then just I feel so bad for him at the end too, because he finally gets his parents loose. They're finally, out of her control, but they are so gone because they were like the first ones that she took over.
Mhm.
Um, and just, just him sitting there hugging his parents after they've been let go. It's heartbreaking. Um, and then like that little narration comes in at the end that, now they're someplace else and somebody else is feeding them soup.
Yeah,
Um,
and he's basically living with another aunt.
yeah, but this time it's a nice one. So,
Yeah.
uh, but I like it. I like it too because this little narration gives you just that little bit of closure, but also leaves it so weirdly open too. That just you're just like, okay, but now this kid knows magic, by the way. Like he knows this little bit of magic here. Um, and like, hopefully he won't use it, hopefully with some, hopefully that empathy that he had and
Yeah.
that being with this nice aunt and everything like that will keep him on the right path. So
What movie was it? There was another movie where a kid lost their parents and then they go live with like their grandparents and it's implied that the grandparents are also then bad because they ask like if he wants a sandwich or something and it's like creepy. Was that Cobweb? Is that the ending in Cobweb?
oh, I don't know. It's been a while
I'm
since I've
like
seen
trying to remember.
Cobweb.
I same, and
The
I'm like I
parents in that were
remember
way creepy, yeah. So
I like remember that the parents died, and then he
yeah,
goes to live like the kid goes to live with
I
the
don't
grandma,
remember.
and the grandma's like offering a sandwich, and it's like implied that grandma's also probably not good.
um
And now I can't remember what it is. I feel like it's Cobweb, but maybe I'm just crazy.
it doesn't look like it based on the description in
Wiki.
Wikipedia. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I'm sure somebody in the audience is screaming out what the
I know.
movie
I'm
is
like
right
that.
now.
I'm trying to think of like what movie has like a kid in it. Maybe it's an older movie. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this is gonna like bug me. Now I'm gonna have to like go ask my friends and be like, what movie?
Yeah. Oh
That or I
man.
probably watched it on Final Girls Feast or something, and I can go look in my notes and just be like,
Yeah.
end sandwich.
There you go. um yeah. So apparently Zach Kreger's first idea for the ending had Justine and Archer using Gladys's magic to assemble their own army of the biggest, toughest people they could find to fight the kids. Then, while actually writing the screenplay, he realized all the time he would need to devote to setting this up would make the movie far too long. It was not as cool as what he then came up with. So,
Yeah, no, I think that would have been a terrible idea. Like, I'm glad that he
right?
edited himself. Like, that would have just been terrible. Like, adults. like fighting kids, like
Don't get me wrong, that would have been kind of funny too, depending on how like it was, because
eh.
we've got that moment. Like I think this is the funniest thing too, because I think it's really the make or break moment in the movie is at the end where Gladys is running away from the kids and they're all running after her, and there's that moment where she's running across and the guy from the lawnmower, like with the lawnmower standing there, you see across the street, she's just like ah, and then all the kids are yelling behind her and everything. I think that at that moment, if you were kind of weirdly on the fence about the movie the whole time and that part breaks you, then that's like then you're not gonna like
I
you're
was
gonna think the
dying at
rest of the
that
movie.
part. Like
I love that part. It's so funny.
I was the first time I saw it, I was laughing like I think so hard I was almost crying because I was just like, this is hilarious.
Oh man. It was such a perfect ending too. So just perfectly placed. Just I don't know. It works so well. Like every bit of this just works so well. I think, again, like we said, there could have been a few moments trimmed here or there, but I think overall, even saying that, I think I didn't feel that in the first time I watched the movie. So
No,
if you
not at
watch the
all.
movie, yeah. So if you haven't watched the movie and if you've gotten this far, you've already been spoiled on everything. But but go back and watch it because it's actually a really fun movie. I don't think anything we've said is really going to spoil anything for you because I think the enjoyment is watching it anyway. Because I've been spoiled on tons of movies that I went back and like loved because I enjoyed, even if I knew
I
the end of like because I knew the ending of Sleepaway Camp. Um, and
Oh,
don't get
that
me
one I
wrong,
did not know.
that
I
mo
was in the dark.
that's so funny. So I'd heard about the ending of that one. And I don't love that movie. I think it's okay. I think it's trash in a good way. Um, but um, but it's but it's funny when you get that kind of thing. Whereas like you said earlier with Malignant, I think that's the funny thing is like even sometimes when I can guess an ending like I did with Malignant, I can still enjoy a movie because the journey of the movie is so good. Whereas Malignant, that payoff wasn't earned, I
No,
feel. And because it's just like it was
none of
so
the movie makes
obviously,
sense.
yeah, and it was so obviously said in the credits what was going on with this person that because they make you wait until the end to reveal it, you're just like, okay. And I get it. There are people who are not like me who are just like, oh, I can forgive that. And that's fine. I forgive other fucking movies for the same thing. Like I will forgive other trash movies that I like all the time, even though they're just dumb and don't make any sense. But yeah, it just this movie is not that though. Weapons, I think, pays off everything really well. Um, and sure, there's gonna be things that you're gonna go, why is this in there? There's this moment where there's this gun above the house in the dream and everything like that. It's a dream. Like I think there were so many people trying to attribute like meaning to that gun being above the thing, and it's like it doesn't mean anything. It's a
He
dream.
said, I feel like I remember reading in like the like I because I went to a screening, I got production notes and stuff. And
Yeah.
in the production notes, he says it was there, like it was just there. Like it was
Yeah.
something he himself had a dream about and he put it in. And there's
Yeah.
a lot of people who liken it to like school shootings
Right.
and it being a part of that and
Yeah.
maybe, but
No.
like but I don't think it has to have meaning to like make
Yeah.
like I don't for me the movie did not hinge on this gun having meaning.
Right. Right.
Like I was
Yeah.
like, okay, it's a dream.
But
He's a
some people
dad.
were weirdly obsessed with that gun in the in the movie too. I was like, why? Why does it matter? Like of all the things to be weirdly like upset about, like the meaning of the gun, who cares? Like it was just this one moment in the movie. Let it go. Like it meant nothing. So again, it was in a dream. We see all kinds of weird shit in our dreams. Like you're gonna try to attribute meaning to that.
I
So
mean, they never really explained why 217 was the time.
yeah, yeah.
And
It
it's
just
on the
happened to be
gun.
yeah,
It's on like it just happened to be when it happened. Like
yeah.
we need to assign a meaning to 217 AM?
No, no. And there wasn't any meaning to it. It was just when she performed the spell. So, I think that's great though too. So,
I think
um,
we've been just like so trained by like, M. Night
yes.
Shyamalan, Marvel movies,
Yeah.
all of that. We're trained to always be looking for Easter eggs or clues or
Right.
hints
Yeah.
to like something, that when there are things like that in a movie that are just kind of weird, people get upset that there's no attributed meaning.
Right. Well, and I think that's great too, because when you really think about it, it's great that they didn't attribute any meaning to it, that it's literally just there is no meaning. It just and I feel like it's
Or you
great
can
because
assign
it's
the
not,
meaning you want.
yeah. And so I think that's what's fun about it too, is that because of that, we it's also playing with the conventions of film too, because people are expecting Easter eggs. He's peppering the movie with random stuff that means nothing, and just letting people obsess over those bits and pieces when it really doesn't mean anything. And I love that when filmmakers do that now too, because they're just like, we're just going to put all this stuff in there that you could come up with your own theories and head canons and everything else like that, but we didn't mean it for anything. It's just for fun, just to put in there to mess with you. So I like that when filmmakers do that, because it's just, it cracks me up, because I just watch a movie for the fun of it. I don't go into like try to like figure out all these, like, don't get me wrong, there are some times where people are coming up with the wildest things, and they're coming up with interesting little head canons, and I'm like, that's really cool. It doesn't mean anything, but it's really cool, besides the fact that you guys
You're like,
delved that
I
deep
like
into
that
it.
you had it. I like that you
Yeah.
had headcanon. That's neato,
It
but
sounds cool if that's what it was meant to be, but then the filmmaker comes out and goes, no. And so I'm like, all right,
that
I'm
just
good with the way
happened
I saw it.
to I feel like
It
that
was
just happened to me with something, and I don't remember what it was. And I was like, I
Stranger
totally
Things.
think I haven't watched it yet,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I think, but there was a movie where like the filmmaker was basically like, yeah, no, this doesn't really mean a lot. And I was like, but in my head, I had like this whole thing, and I was like, and now I can't remember what movie it was.
That's so funny. But I think that's also what's good too, because I think that filmmakers are doing that on purpose, not because they're messing with us, but also because I think they lay some things in there to go, okay, these are fun things, that people can make up on their own. And I think the filmmakers actually enjoy that when people come up with the stuff to, and even if it's stuff they didn't put in there, but just people coming up with little head canons and stuff
Well,
that,
it also gets butts in seats because they see the
yeah,
people having theory talk, and then,
yeah.
everyone's like, oh, well, now I've got to go see it so I can have a theory.
It's just bad when it gets to the point where, I know you haven't seen Stranger Things, but when you do watch Stranger Things season 5, there's a lot of discourse about what was in the episodes and what
I
could have
saw
been.
s- I saw
Yeah.
something about like people were talking about like on like some date they're like, "Oh, there's going to be a new episode because there was this thing," and everyone was convinced there was going to be like another episode or a whole ass like new season or something,
There
or
were
like
there
I
were
saw the
people who were
conspiracy
unhappy.
stuff.
Yeah, there were people who were so unhappy with this last season. And there are bits and pieces that kind of sometimes don't make sense or whatever. That they started putting things together in their own heads and posting them online. And when the finale didn't address any of that, they got pissed. And then they're like, well, then there's really there's a secret actual end episode that's going to address all that. And then it didn't happen. And then they're like, oh. And the rest of us were like, it's not happening. The finale was great. I don't know what you're talking about.
Everyone's
So,
kind of like, y'all clearly didn't grow up watching Lost. You're not going to get your
thank
answers.
you.
You're like I remember watching Lost like after it came out. I watched it on like physical media. And I
Yeah.
just remember being so annoyed at the ending of Lost, and I was like, this is so dumb. What?
I
Like,
literally brought this up. I think it's in and it's actually in a future episode that I've already recorded. But I literally talk about this too, about how Lost conditioned us to like look for all this stuff, because the creators of the show literally peppered in all this stuff into the background that had some meaning, but didn't have meaning to the actual story. It was more like meanings, like you could read meanings into things. And I used to listen to podcasts about Lost and get really deep into the theory weeds and stuff like that, and was really enjoying those things. And then when none of it came, true, because they went in other their own weird directions, I was just like, okay, well, this is fun on its own, but it's still fun to listen to the theories here and there. But I like definitely, I think it was one of those things where I burned myself out on that, and I just let myself enjoy the shows more, where,
yeah.
because if you just understand, they're making the shows not necessarily for you. They're making the stories for themselves, and and especially I think in the terms of Stranger Things, they were really telling a story that they wanted to tell. That had nothing to do with the audience or anything else like that. They were happy the audience was getting like enjoying it, but I don't think they were doing things to, please the audience necessarily.
I
So,
also think that showrunners these days underestimate fandom
mhm,
because fandoms, it doesn't matter if it's Stranger Things, Star Wars, Game of Thrones, Lost, whatever, fans are ravenous for details. And so
yeah,
they remember everything and then they go back
yeah,
and watch it and then they see all the details. And Game of Thrones did this a lot where they
hmm
would have whole ass storyline episode moments where something would be like talked about and then it's never addressed again. Like
right, yeah,
the whole like Prince who was promised line, like through line got kind
yeah,
of dropped. And then
yeah,
like like there's all sorts of like things like with the Cersei, like her the fortune that was told, like everything kind of was like loose and they sort of did it, but then everyone's
yeah,
like, that's not how it was. That's not what our theory was. And so I feel like they underestimate fans.
sure.
They
But I also
they
think they're not playing
things that
to
are
the fans necessarily. They're trying to tell the stories they want to tell without involving
but
fan
what I mean
input.
though is that they put something out there that they consider to be kind of a throwaway.
Hmm,
Like it's not supposed to be a big deal, but then
right,
the fans latch onto it, and whether
right.
they're writing it for the fans, they are underestimating how much
Sure.
fans care about those details.
Yeah.
And so when
You'll see
when
that in Stranger Things, the new season, when you finally watch it,
I've
because
seen things like they had to go back and edit Stranger Things because people were upset about dates not matching and people thought it was
yeah,
like a whole conspiracy about something and they're like,
yeah,
"No, we just it was
we
like,
just messed
you know,
up. Yeah,
yeah, it was like 10 years ago. We messed up, y'all."
yeah,
Like and
yeah,
I think that that's what TV shows struggle with now is that
yeah,
the internet is forever. It's not like we watch it on cable and like when we
yeah.
used to watch shows on cable, you didn't really get to go
You didn't
back.
really get to watch it again. Yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah,
unless it was on a rerun and then you caught
yeah,
it, but like you didn't get to binge a season before
yeah.
watching the new one. And
Right.
now like continuity I feel like is a bigger deal than it used to
Yeah.
be.
Well, I think the problem though too is like I get it because the audiences are because they're slightly more sophisticated in terms of because the post Lost we are used to stories that can have depth and like these season long, and thankfully seasons have become shorter and stuff like that, but we can have these stories that are like this. But I also think that the problem too is that the audiences get a little too precious too about these things. They're taking too much ownership in something that they don't own. And there's a certain give and take to that that because they do own it to a certain degree. They're the ones making it popular and making it the hit that it is or whatever. They're the ones pushing for it or whatever. So I'm not saying that audiences don't deserve some of
Well,
that,
I mean, they do
but
pay for a special, like a lot of times people
yeah,
are paying for a special subscription. It's not like
right.
cable where we just, we paid for cable and whatever was on, we latched
Yeah,
onto. Now people are like, I got Netflix for Stranger Things. I got
sure.
HBO for Game of Thrones, etc.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, they're asking us to wait for years for the next
Yeah.
season.
Well,
They're
and
like,
that's the problem they have is that people now have a year, like several years to dissect what has gone on in the previous seasons.
yeah.
And then when you come up with that next season, if it doesn't match what they wanted, then that's where the disconnect is going to be. And I think that's really more of it than anything else. Audiences tend to a vocal amount of the audience tends to sit there and go, well, I really wanted it to be this thing, and because it wasn't this, it sucks, and so and we saw that with Lost too, because Lost went in a weird direction that nobody really cared about at the end. And yeah, but I still think that Lost is one of those shows that, at least if you go back to watch it and stuff like that, the journey is still fun. And I think that's what ultimately, like with a lot of these shows, it depends on the show. I don't have any desire to go back and watch Game of Thrones again. I that was a show that I only kind of like moderately paid attention. I watched the whole series, but I only kind of moderately paid attention to it the whole time. I wasn't like a super fan or anything, but I did watch it every week. Um, but
I think
it
also the like reduction of episodes does not leave room
yeah,
for bad episodes because
true. Yeah.
we only get like 8 to 10 episodes of a show nowadays, like
Yeah.
pretty much.
So you have to be
Maybe
at the top of
12.
your game with every episode.
Like
Yeah.
whereas like when like Supernatural came out, you were
I
getting
was going to mention
20
super.
plus
Yeah.
you get 20 plus
And there
episodes a
was a lot of
season.
bad episodes of Supernatural
So
too.
there were some filler episodes
Yeah.
that, maybe didn't have the overarching
Yeah.
storyline or they just weren't the
Yeah.
strongest episodes. And fans would forgive that because they had,
Yeah.
15 other episodes to mess with.
Right.
But
Yeah.
now, when you have 8 to 10 episodes, if two of those are bad,
Yeah.
that's 25% of your
Yeah.
season was terrible.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. So I
And
mean, it
so
just is.
people
It's
expect
definitely.
more.
Yeah. I think that's the danger with doing television in general too. Is just that it's a good and bad thing. I do like that seasons are less in terms of like you get an 8 to 13 episode season. It's a lot more easy to invest, and it makes I think that it feels better. I also for the writers because when you are on that 20 plus episode schedule and stuff like that, you do have to write those filler episodes because you can't do like core stories every episode because then it's just every episode just it's too much to do. um and then so you have to fill it out with those filler episodes, whereas with these, because you only have those, every episode has to mean something, it has to matter, like you said. So I think that does up the level, or it should up the level of the writing and stuff like that. And I would say for the most part, generally speaking, it works. Not always. um
I think the biggest detriment is the making people wait a year to two
yeah,
years for a season when it's only eight
that's the
episodes. Like,
biggest problem.
like I
Yeah.
feel like it's not even that like you can't do a good show in that. It's just that people's attention. Like, I'll be honest, I used to be a diehard Stranger Things fan.
Mm,
I I lo- the 2 years it took to get from season 4 to season 5. I was like, okay, I've moved on. Like,
yeah.
you know, I'm not gonna buy that these 20-year-olds are 14. Like, I'm sorry, like it's not, no. They could have, what they should have done, in my opinion, is aged them all up to like 18.
Well, and that's the interesting thing too, because I thought that was the original idea for between season 4 and season 5. Season 5, there was going to be a year or
An
two
age
time
up.
jump.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
not. It's like not
Well,
even a year, is it?
there's an 18-month gap between season 4 and season 5. So there is a gap. And then
But
there's
a
another
year, like,
gap.
okay, so they're
There's
16 instead of
there
21.
it's a year and a half,
And
and then there's another gap at the end that you find out more. So I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but there's
no,
another
but like,
gap. So
I don't know. Like, I'm like, I don't buy that Millie Bobby Brown is like 15 now that I know that
so
she's a wife and a mother. Like,
so here's the thing
like,
though. Here's the thing. If you go back and look at what kids look like in the late 80s and stuff
oh,
like that,
I know,
you will
I
see
know.
that we look like that. We look like
But
damn adults when we were that age. So
I did not
it's
look
not
okay
that far.
at 15 I did not look like a full-fledged adult. I can tell you. I
I'm not
dressed
saying we all did, but some of us did. So for sure. I
but I
didn't. I
think
looked like a kid into my 20s. So
but I think the problem with that is if they had started this show with them in high school, that would have been believable. And it would not. But
sure.
when you start a show with like
Yeah.
these little kids for
Yeah.
all intents and purposes, and
Yeah.
then you're like, "Oh, but they're only 15," when
Yeah.
you now know they're 20 and they look
Yeah.
20, it's a little different.
I think the problem ultimately was, and this has totally become a Stranger Things episode. This is the problem with that was that I don't think they knew, one, they didn't intend to do it
Yeah.
past season one. They were going to do Stranger Things, but it was going to be more of an anthology show. But because it hit so hard,
Also COVID put them
yeah,
behind, and
yeah,
then there were the
COVID, the
writers'
writer's strike,
strikes.
yeah. So
So
there's all
I
these
get
things that
it.
happened that made things weird that made them have to do that. For so there's a certain amount of, again, what we said earlier was the suspension of disbelief. So we have to give them a little bit of suspension of disbelief on it. And again, I personally thought this last season was great. I think it's fantastic. I think season four is, for me, was the strongest season. But that's my own personal opinion. I know not everybody agrees with that, but
I liked season 4, if I
I
recall.
thought season, yeah,
I thought it
I
was a
like that
strong
everybody
season.
was all doing, like, they were all separated and they all had to do all this stuff and then came together at the end.
I mean,
So
I
I
really
thought that
loved
was fun.
season 1. Like, I feel like season 1 is probably my favorite just because it had like the creepier, like horror adjacent vibe.
Right.
And I liked that more.
Right.
Like, I wish they had kind of leaned more into that throughout the series.
Right.
But I'm not a TV person, believe it or not. Like, I'm very like I don't watch a ton of TV shows. Like, there
Right.
are just a few. I haven't even watched Fallout, the new season of Fallout.
I haven't watched it yet. Yeah. I'm kind
I
of
haven't
waiting for it to
watched.
end so I can just kind of
Is
binge
it
it.
over yet?
I don't think
Is
so.
it Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure. Like,
Well,
again, I
because
haven't
so
really
it's
been following.
interesting too. Yeah, because Fallout season one all dropped on the same day, and then they've been spacing this out. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't mind when TV shows do that because it's fine. It brings the whole like week to week. It keeps the show in the in conversation rather than dropping it all at once. But I also, depending on the show, don't care, and I'll just wait for it to end, and then I'll binge it,
I
watch it
just
after that.
I just like to
So
watch it all at once because I like to watch it all at once because I'm not busy. Like, I
yeah,
pick a day and I watch. But what
yeah.
kills me is also I don't invest in streaming shows anymore because they cancel everything I like.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I
So,
just I'm so tired of like falling
yeah.
in love with a show. Resident Evil on Netflix was so good.
Yeah.
It was, and it ended on a cliffhanger. Like, it was like,
Yeah.
you need the next season. And they were like, oh, nope, canceled.
HBO, there was a show on Max called Duster that was on for one season last year, and they ended up canceling that after one season. I like that show. I mean, I get why it wasn't a hit or anything like that, but it was still one
I
of those
feel
shows I was
like
just like, I wish they would have been able to
I
continue it.
I get that they want to like earn their money quickly on them and they want to make their money back on them, but like, if you think about TV shows just in history, look at Star Trek. It's
Oh,
always the
yeah.
first 3 seasons of whatever Star Trek series it is. It takes them like 3 seasons to get like,
To find their footing. Yeah.
get the
Yeah.
characters all melding together,
Yeah.
right? And like Voyager, the first 3 seasons are brutal.
Yeah.
The
No,
the
I
last four
think,
seasons, great.
yeah.
TNG, same thing. Like,
Oh, yeah. No, I think
but
that's
streamers don't
generally,
do that.
no, streamers don't do that. They're like, if it's not a hit on day one,
Day
then we're
one.
gonna cancel it. Yeah. No, and that's what's crazy is because it's like, and I get it, they're putting a lot of money into these things, and they're just like, if it's something doesn't hit right away, we don't want to keep putting money into something that may not hit. But I think at least it seems like Netflix generally, not always, because you obviously prove that with the one thing you just said, canceled after one season. But generally speaking, they seem to give 2 to 3 seasons on a few things here and there. So it is nice that they do that. I mean, Amazon's done it too. Paper Girls only got one season.
Yeah, they all do it. That's
Yeah,
why, and
yeah,
and I'm not trying to
yeah.
target Netflix, but
Oh yeah,
because they all
no,
do
they
it.
all do
It's
it.
just
Yeah,
Netflix is the one who has burned me the most.
yeah,
They canceled. Oh, there was this one show with Sophia Lillis, and I can never remember the name of it. And it was like based off of a graphic novel, I think,
yeah,
and it was
yeah,
like, but it was so good, and it ended on a cliffhanger, and then COVID happened,
yeah,
and then they never went back. They're like,
yeah, yeah,
meh. And I can't do
yeah,
it. Like, Sabrina, I waited that show out. Like, I watched it and I was
yeah,
loyal to it. Right when it started to get good, they canceled it.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
that fourth season was so good, and then they're like,
yeah.
yeah, no, we're done. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
No, I watched that show too. Yeah. Yeah. That was a good show. Yeah. But it's, yeah, it's, it's
it
weird.
took a couple season to get off its feet, and
Yeah.
just it makes me, this is why I don't commit to TV shows. Like, people ask me, they're like, well, why don't you watch TV shows? And I'm like, because they're gonna get canceled. I'm like,
A lot.
I'll wait till the series ends, and then I'll go
Yeah.
back and watch all of it.
Yeah. Exactly. So, all right. Well, let's get back to weapons real quick. But that's what we've been talking about most of this episode. But yeah, so I like Weapons. I think it's a great movie. It's high up on my top 10. I haven't done my top 10 episode yet because unfortunately my friend Donna has been dealing with some health issues. And so once she's able to come back and do that, I'm going to do that episode with her. So but yes, Weapons is in my top 10 for the year because it was just a fantastic movie. And I definitely feel like if you liked Barbarian, you'll love this. If you didn't like Barbarian, give this a
Still give this
try.
one a shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
give this one a try. Yeah, because this I think it's definitely different movies. They kind of play with some similar things, but not in the same way. So,
Yeah.
and I think this is definitely a movie where Zach Creggor is definitely getting better in his um storytelling. So, and I think that
He's
once
supposed to have a Resident Evil movie.
he does, that's
Speaking
his
of
next
Resident
project.
Evil. See,
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just leading us back.
There you
I
go.
was
See, you brought
it
us right back around.
I did. I think he will, as much as I liked Welcome to Raccoon City, like I another one of those hot take movies where I'm a staunch defender. I think Zach
I'll
Creger could
admit
do
I have not seen
interesting.
any of the Resident Evil things, so
I have seen them all. Everything. All the animated ones, all the like
that's funny.
I love Welcome to Raccoon City, but I think Zach Creger could do a really cool Resident Evil movie. And
Yeah.
especially if it's not supposed to be like the video game. Like it's
Yeah.
because I think what I recall is it's like world of not it's not
Right.
like
Yeah.
Leon S. Kennedy and like
Yeah.
the characters we're familiar at with and I
I
think
think it'll
with
probably
that
he
he would be
might
good.
yeah. Yeah, so he might use some of the characters from the games, but I think it'll be like from what I've heard is that it's going to be at least a unique story in the world. So it
Yeah, it
won't
says
be
here, according to Letterboxd, it says
yeah.
described as a reboot that won't retell a story from the game series, but will return to the franchise's suspense horror roots and be more faithful to the spirit of the early games.
There you go. So
So I think that could be almost a scary house movie if we're going to
yeah,
return to the roots of the game,
could
because
be. Yeah.
that would be the early games were all both houses. Oh no, two was more like a city, was in Raccoon City. Like so
Hmm.
you were like in the
Okay.
police station, I think, and but I think Kreger's can do a good job.
Yeah.
Like it between this and Barbarian, the style and setting is very him.
Right. And, and we'll probably have a bit of humor in it as well. So I think that'll lend itself well to horror. I think horror and humor go so well together when you do it right. And I think
But it's
because
so
he
hard to do it
started,
right.
it is. But I think because he started out in comedy, he knows how to do the comedy right. And so it's and so far I think he's 2 for 2 in terms of horror, doing the horror of it. And so um I think that whatever he does, as long as he continues in that kind of vein, it's the same with Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele came from comedy and then transitioned to horror.
Yeah.
I think they're very complementary to each other when they're done well. And I think when you find the right people that do it well, it definitely works. So
Yeah, there's a hard balance between like making something
it
too
is.
funny so that it's no longer scary, but then so scary that it like when you have those moments of humor, it doesn't work.
Right. And I think that's what helps with Weapons is that a lot of the humor is kind of very dark humor. And
Hmm.
so that it's this like uncomfortable laugh more than just we're going to do something weird and wild. We're going to do something weird and wild and very uncomfortable. So, and
Yeah.
that's what I think is a lot of fun with this movie especially.
Yeah, it's very much like what is happening here laughter, not like
Yeah.
haha,
Yeah.
that's a funny joke. Haha.
Exactly. And it's not like parody in any way either. And like, because I think parody has its place, like the scary movie franchise and stuff like that. But it definitely wears out its welcome fast. So you've got to draw that line of being faithful to the horror, but also having those comedic moments that can work well. So
Yeah.
it's a tough balance. I think people are getting better at it. I've seen a lot more horror comedies over the last few years that have really nailed that balance well. Um,
Agreed.
And I
Because
think
I'm
that,
not a big comedy fan at all. Like
yeah,
you know this about me. Like I
yeah,
am not. If people suggest a comedy to me, I'm like, really? Do I
yeah,
have to watch that? Like, do I? Do
right.
I?
But I think
And
that's what's great about stuff like this, like Weapons,
uh,
Companion,
I did not like
other.
Companion.
Oh
I
wow,
was.
I loved
Here,
Companion.
here's the problem with Companion. I feel like they mismarketed it. I wanted if I had gone in not knowing what it was about, like had I not already ahead of time known that she was a robot,
Yeah,
it would have been a way better movie for me. But going in, there's like no stakes when you know she's already when you already knew she was a robot.
I can see that, but I don't think there was anything spoiled by it because the some of the stuff that's in there once you know she's a robot, because ultimately there's stuff in the story that you find out that doesn't, the robot aspect is definitely a huge part of it, but ultimately you find out that she's not who she is also, so that there's something more to all of it. So I didn't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't watched it or hasn't listened to my episode on it already. So
Well, they should have already listened to your episode on it. It was
they
probably
should
several
have.
episodes ago.
They should
So
have, yeah.
that's their fault.
Exactly.
And it's also been a year since that movie came out. I feel
Oh
like
yeah.
the spoiler window
Yeah.
is unreasonable after a year.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so I think that it's a hard thing to do, but I think more people are finding that balance and doing it well. And I think that for me, being a horror comedy fan, that I am enjoying this period
This like
of
renaissance.
horror. Yeah, yeah, of finding this, like, especially in the
I'm
dark
enjoying a lot of
horror
them.
comedy.
Like
Yeah.
I feel like since 2020 we've really been seeing a lot of really good smart horror comedy. Like
Yes.
everything I feel like once we started seeing movies like Scare Package, Scare Me,
Yeah.
Hard Eyes, Josh Rubin is great at horror comedy. Like
Yeah.
I think maybe I just like his timing. Like
Yeah.
and I it's a hot take, but I think The Dead Don't Die is hilarious. Like most people don't like that movie. That was the Jim
The
Jarmusch
Jim
one with
Jarmusch one. Yeah, I haven't seen it. Yeah.
I love dry humor though. So like for
Yeah.
me, it's so dry. It's just like bone dry humor that
Right.
there's one scene in it where like Bill Murray's at a diner and he keeps like they keep repeating this like same line. And I was on the floor with like tears in my eyes. Both my husband and I were just dying.
That's funny.
And I think horror comedy's hard. Like
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
but we have people who are starting to get it and do it right. And
Yeah.
I've been enjoying that.
Yeah.
I've been
Yeah.
pleasantly surprised.
Right. There's still people fumbling it here and there, but like I think overall we're getting a generally good thing, good bit of it. Even in the independent space and stuff like that, you're getting some good
I feel
funny,
like the
good
independent
horror.
space is actually better than the mainstream space generally
It
for
can
horror
be, yeah.
comedy.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the horror comedy there, they're not afraid of like the boundaries of like mainstream release and like that. So
Yeah.
there's not so they get to play with the humor and the comedy in a different way
Right. Yeah.
than a mainstream release would get to do
Well,
it.
and I think what tends to happen more on the independent level is that you get a lot more comedies with horror in them. Like I interviewed the director earlier this year for the movie For Sale by Exorcist, which is more of a comedy, but definitely has all these horror elements to it and stuff. So I think that that's one of those things where the independent side of things, because of the lack of budget that they have, so they can't do a lot of the very big um,
Mhm.
makeup effects and everything else like that. They have to lean more into the comedy, and so I think that's where that writing has to be even better because they can't lean as much into the scares so much that they've got to go into that comedy aspect of it. And when it's done right, it's done really right. And so I think that
And I
we're definitely seeing a lot more of it for
And
sure.
I think that the mainstream horror is kind of coming into this like realization because you have like Neon doing like The Monkey, and that
That's
movie
another
is
one that is
pretty
fucking,
funny. And
it's
but I
great.
would
Yeah.
argue that the way that that movie is written is a very indie style with
Yes.
mainstream studio money. And
Yeah.
so like I think it's finding the right filmmakers and like Hard Eyes, Josh Rubin
Yeah,
getting mainstream studio money, but being able to bring like his indie sense of humor. And it
right,
feels like they trusted him to do that, you
right.
know, more. They allowed him to bring his kind of humor into it, I feel like more. Like I love Werewolves Within,
I
but
love
I
Werewolves Within. Yeah.
but I wish desperately that they had asked Josh Rubin to write it because I think had he written it, it would have been better. Like I
Well,
like it a lot, don't get me wrong. I just
yeah.
think his humor, like cuz I look at Scare Me and
See, and I didn't love Scare Me. I thought Scare Me was
watch it
good.
again. Watch
I
it
thought
again.
Scare Me was
I
good,
It took
but
me
I
two
didn't
or
love it.
three
Yeah.
watches cuz I watched
Okay.
it for podcasts and stuff.
Yeah,
By the
yeah.
third time I watched it, I'm like obsessed. Like I was
That's funny.
dying. So that's one that give it a chance cuz I know
Yeah.
what scene probably bobothered you. It was probably
I don't even
the
remember,
It
honestly.
was
And I don't
probably
think there
the
were,
American Idol because that scene plays a little long,
I don't
but
remember.
on
It's
the
so
second or
funny. Yeah.
third watch, I was like, okay, this is actually hilarious.
Yeah. I think Josh Rubin is great. I actually interviewed him once as well. And he's great. I think that the movies he does, I interviewed him for he was in I think he was in one movie. I can't remember what it was, but he was
A
like a
Wounded Fawn?
producer. Yes,
Was
thank
it a
you. He
Wounded
was
Fawn?
in, yeah, yeah. So I interviewed him for that and for Blood Relatives. So for both of those, I talked to him about. And I thought he was great, and he was just acting in both of those. But he was a producer on Blood Relatives. Um, but I do think he's a good filmmaker. I liked Hard Eyes for sure.
So
Also
good.
written by Christopher Landon and Michael Kennedy, which are great. I love the work they
Yeah.
do too. I'm a huge fan of the Happy Death Day movies. So I can't wait for Happy Death Day 3 to eventually come out.
I
Um,
want him to write more though, because I love his writing. Like,
yeah.
if I don't know if you've ever seen any of like Josh's like shorts. They're
Mm,
so random. They're not horror. They're just kind of
yeah.
comedy, but they're
Right.
just like this random. And again, maybe it's because I really like this, like that dry, like it's not
Yeah.
really funny, but it's kind of funny because it's awkward. Like it's like
Right.
when someone tells a joke and the room goes quiet because it's not really super funny, but then it's funny because everybody else isn't laughing.
Right. Yeah.
That's the kind of humor that it is, and I
Right.
like that awkwardness.
That's
It's
funny.
so weird. Mainstream comedy, no way. Awkward humor, yeah.
That's too funny.
Gimme.
I know he's sometimes on that show, Make Some Noise, through Red Dropout. So he's funny on that whenever
It's
I've seen him in
so
that.
funny.
Yeah.
Oh my
But
gosh.
yeah, no, I think that there's definitely some really good comedy people working in the horror space, and I want them to continue because I think they're doing a really fun, good job at it, especially because I am a huge horror comedy fan.
Are you
So
looking forward to the new Scary Movie?
so here's the thing. I didn't really care for the original scary movies to begin with, so I'm not really hyped for this one either.
I
So
kind of feel like that's the kind of comedy that I don't
I don't
really
care for
love.
parody. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like some parody,
It depends. Yeah.
it generally feels like I a lot of times parody just goes overboard and then
Right.
just becomes
Goes too
dumb.
far.
Like
Yeah.
it's not smart parody.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I think that's the problem is that I've never really, I don't think I've even watched the original scary movies. So I don't know that like I even
The
because
first one is okay.
I've heard the first one or two are okay because they were the ones still done by the Wayans, and then after that they drop off real fast.
I don't even know
And
that I've
so
seen past the first two. I maybe I
yeah,
saw the third one.
yeah.
Maybe I saw the third one. And then I
But
was
I know
like
the
then I was
Wayans,
done.
yeah, I know the Wayans are back and they're doing this new one and everything, which is great. I'm glad they kind of got that franchise back to themselves and everything. But so I'm interested to see what they're going to do with it because now they're going to be able to parody all the, you know, grief horror and all this other stuff. So
Oh
they're going to really be able to,
no. Oh
yeah.
no.
So we'll see what
Oh.
happens. But I think sometimes like the Wayans are good, but they're good in a specific niche. That I like that niche sometimes. So, and I think that's the problem is just that I'm not hyped on it. I'm not excited for it. I'll watch it probably, but it's going to be one of those things where I'm not expecting much from it. So, um, I'm not expecting to be wowed by it. But yeah, no, I'm excited for, other fun things that are going to come out. But yeah, horror comedy is my jam, and I love Weapons. Weapons was so good. Um,
It
it
was.
just
It was such
is
it's a
fantastic.
fun movie. Like I feel like it's good enough that it also will be kept people will keep talking about it. It's not going to be one of those
Oh yeah,
movies like it's going to have like it's going to go quiet for a little bit because everything goes quiet for a little bit, but I feel
yeah,
like in like 5 years people are going to like loop back around and start watching Cr- Creggor's early stuff because presumably in
yeah.
5 years he'll have made several more movies. Unless Resident Evil curses him
Takes forever.
and
Yeah, yeah.
he gets put in movie jail.
Uh,
But I feel like it's one that isn't gonna just die by the wayside.
right. Yeah. No, I think it'll be. I think I think Barbarian and Weapons will both stand the test of time pretty well for him. Um, and they'll be
They're
looked at.
memorable, is what they are. Like
Yeah,
they
yeah.
they don't just like
I just
disappear.
don't want him to go the way Ari Aster has. So, because I was like, I'm a big fan of Hereditary and Midsummer. I know not everybody is, but I
Oh, I
really
like
like
both of
those
those
two
quite a
movies.
bit.
Those two movies are fantastic, but then he dropped off so hard with Beau is Afraid. And I get that was a passion project for him, and that was fine. But then he came back with Eddington, and I'm like, Eddington's fine, but it's just not what I was hoping he would do. And that's fine. I get it. Not every filmmaker, the filmmaker has to make the movies they want to make. I just it's the same with Robert Eggers. After The Witch, I haven't really enjoyed anything by him. So
I Lighthouse I was mid on, but I did really like The Northman.
The Northman's fantastic. It's
And I
just but it's
haven't
only
watched Nosferatu yet, so I have
uh
no opinion on Nosferatu because I have not seen it yet.
so The Lighthouse was yeah, it was just like it wasn't my thing.
It was
Northman
weird.
nor yeah, my son loves it. He loves how weird and like just goofy that thing is and I'm just like that's not my vibe. I'm glad you like it, but I don't care. Um but um but Northman was fantastic, but it was a one-time watch for me. I think it's great. I don't necessarily ever need to watch it again. Nosferatu is Bram Stoker's Dracula retold. And that's
I
all
mean,
it is to me.
to be fair, Bram Stoker's Dracula is just Dracula retail. Like, I mean, if we're going to
Sure,
be technical,
sure,
all vampire
sure.
movies
But if you
stem back to Nosferatu or
sure,
Vampire and all of
yeah.
these. Like, I
But
feel
that's
like at this point you can't tell
yeah,
that specific
you
vampire
can.
story
Yeah,
without feeling like you are pulling from at least one of the other
right.
iterations.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's what's interesting about it too, is that the Francis Ford Coppola, Bram Stoker's Dracula is different enough from the 1930s Dracula and different from every iteration of Dracula that had come after that point, like in between those two, that I think that it stands so good on its own, that it's fantastic in its own right. I love that movie. I love Bram Stoker's Dracula. But Nosferatu seems like it's retelling that specific, like it's retelling Francis Ford Coppola's version of that rather than trying to tell its own version.
It's not really.
It's making some tweaks here and there, but because it's like weirdly tell because Nosferatu
Have
was
you?
always Dracula,
Oh,
but not, and so this
have
is just it's taken all the Dracula out of it and made it, Orlok and whatever else, but it's literally feels like Bram Stoker's Dracula all over again, but sapped of all the color and energy from it too. So I
have
was
you
just bored.
seen
So
Herzog's Nosferatu the Vampire? Because that is the I've not
that one's good.
like
Yeah.
I have said I've not seen Eggers, but the vibe I got was it was more inspired by that one than Bram Stoker's because that
I
movie
didn't
is
feel
very
that.
I have always felt that Herzog's is very whiny. Like I hate Nosferatu because he just seems
Yeah.
like, oh, woe is me, the whole dang movie. Like everything is just sad emo
That's
vampire.
not what Eggers is. Yeah.
Oh,
No,
interesting. Like
yeah.
I don't know. I'm like I've been on a silent movie kick lately, so like I'm like, "Oh, is this going to be like silent movie vibe?" Obviously with, speaking picture, but I'm like,
Yeah. It feels so desaturated and just feels like such a weird copy of Coppola's movie, to me anyway. Like I know that's not
Interesting.
it's not it wasn't for everybody else. There was a lot of people who loved Nosferatu
I've
when it
heard
came out.
mixed. So like I've
Yeah.
heard very mixed. Like
Yeah.
not liking it is not a shock to me because like
Yeah. Yeah.
I have very much heard people who are like, "Oh no, that movie was boring." And
It
then there are
was
people
to
like
me it was boring. Yeah.
and then people were like, "Oh, this is the most beautiful vampire movie." Da, 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 da. Like
There's a
I've definitely heard both sides of the spectrum on that.
What's even funnier is there's a new Dracula movie about to come out too by
Luc Besson.
Luc Besson, and it's literally looks like it's aping Francis Ford Coppola's movie also.
I mean,
So it's
Luc
like,
Besson is kind of a not so great guy anyway, so I'm gonna
yeah.
skip that one.
Oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
don't need to
Yeah.
watch it. I'm
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Same.
Like
Yeah.
also to be fair, I'm not a big vampire movie person, which is why I still haven't seen Nosferatu. Like out of all
Yeah.
the horror tropes, vampires are pretty low on my list. Like I feel
It
like all vampire movies feel a little bit samey to me,
they
with
can
maybe
be,
the
yeah.
exception of like The Lost Boys. I love The Lost Boys. That's the
Oh,
one
The Lost
vampire
Boys is
movie.
fantastic. Yeah. Yeah.
That is the one vampire movie that I forever
Yeah.
will be just like best
To,
vampire movie on earth.
to me, it's Lost Boys and Bram Stoker's Dracula. Those are the two. Those are the
Yep.
two best ones that I think of. Anytime I think of vampire movies, those are literally the only two I think of.
Dracula's
So
daughter is quite amazing also, but
the original 1930s?
uh-huh.
Oh, I haven't seen that
I
yet.
love that
So
movie. It's so good. So
I
good.
have it on Blu-ray. I have the whole Universal Monsters thing on Blu-ray, but I just haven't watched it yet. So
It's a good one. I
yeah.
highly recommend that one. It's very different.
Yeah.
It's very like I love the character though. So,
Excuse me. But yeah.
so.
All right.
But yeah, horror comedies.
Yes.
Back around.
Back around. Yep. Keep going wildly off topic, but
I
well,
mean,
thank
this
you
is
guys. It's
me.
because we haven't talked in forever. So
I know we're like, oh
uh,
my God, I haven't talked to you in like a year. Like, what
yeah,
horror movies have you watched in the last year?
right.
What did you
Oh man,
think?
that's too funny. Well, we'll have to talk
Oh,
again soon for sure. So
yeah.
you'll have to see if you can slot me into an episode over there on yours.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm scheduled through April, I think. But
Okay.
I'm OCD. I'm like type A OCD
Uh,
though. Like I like to have it, and it's actually helped because like I've already even had people who are like, "Oh gosh, something came up," and I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm glad I know
See, and I've
now."
been
And
terrible about that, and I need to get better about that, about scheduling. I'm trying to do that now, is try to get people scheduled months in advance, so that way I'm ready for it when it happens. And I'm trying to get better at it. I'm still not good, but you would think after 4 years of doing this, I would be better, and I'm not.
I
So,
mean, sometimes I only got really like proactive with it about this year, so like or last year rather. So
right,
like because it used to be we would be like record an episode and then what movie do you want to do next time?
yeah.
And then like so, but now I'm like, oh, I want to do these movies, and so
Oh,
it
and
helps
that's
me
what's funny.
research and
Well, and it's funny too because I plot out the whole year in advance. Like before the end of the previous year, I have my next year fully plotted out on what I'm going to do. I can, fiddle with it here and there. I can slot things in and out of it, but like this year, I've got like it completely planned, and I've got, each month is like a different theme and everything. So it's just too funny. So
we do
trying
similar,
to get
yeah.
back, trying to get back on track.
I feel it. I
So.
feel it. It's hard. It's hard
It
right now.
is. It is. It is definitely. So, and I'm trying to get people who either haven't been on in a while, like you, or who've never been on the podcast before as well. So I'm just trying to reach out and getting new people on, which is kind of hard sometimes because you're just like, which is why, like, for most of last year, I just kind of defaulted to the same batch of people who were on the thing all the time because it's just easy to reach out to them and go, hey, you want to do another episode? And it's
Well,
easy
and
when
you know
they've
what
got
to
this open
expect with the
schedules.
conversation and you
Yeah.
like I feel like cuz we do that too where like we've had a couple guests who we've had on multiple times in the last
Yeah.
year and it's like nice and like this upcoming episode we're doing for Practical Magic is two return guests and
Yeah.
I'm like I wanted a comfy cozy conversation
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
people I knew, you
Yeah.
know.
And you're
And
going to have a good
so
rapport with, it's not going to be a weird conversation or it's not going to,
exactly.
and like I would say for the most part, I would say 99% of the people that I've had on my show fit in that nice vibe where I definitely want them back.
Yeah.
And there's a few here and there that have just been like the vibe was just slightly off and wasn't like terrible or anything like that. But it's just like it's not that great. I probably won't ask them back for a while. Um,
I feel
that
that.
not to not
I'm
that that
like,
was
I
you,
feel
by the
that.
way.
No, I've
So
been like all over the place. Like,
yeah,
and I know with this one, I was like, hey, I want to do this. And
yeah,
so,
yeah.
like, I've just been busy and all
Yeah.
over,
Oh
and
yeah. And life, it just is, life gets in the way, of course.
everything
So
is hard. I
yeah.
was diagnosed with ADHD, and I'm like, that makes so much sense.
Oh, I self-diagnosed ADHD several years ago. I need
I
to get, yeah.
I was too, and now I'm like, I'm official. I'm on paper.
Do
And
you
I'm
take
like,
anything for it or
I just started.
okay.
And that
See,
was what my
I'm
whole phone call today
oh,
with the health
okay.
insurance was about, was that my dosage got upped as it should,
Yeah.
because they titrate you up on certain
Yeah.
medications so you don't like crawl out of your skin when you
Yeah.
start.
Yeah.
And then I found out that it was the pharmacy is charging
Yeah.
more than any other whole to
It's
do.
ridiculous.
Health
Yeah.
insurance sucks, folks.
Yeah. Yeah, I that's kind of what I'm afraid of, is that like I'll get diagnosed with ADHD and they'll want to put me on meds, and like I'm sure that it would help, but also at the
You
same
don't have
time
to.
I've already I know I don't have to, but I'm always like I don't know if I want to like adjust my life in such a way, because I hear both good and bad things about it, because I'm always like, well, sure, it could make me more focused, but then I kind of like the chaos. So,
I mean, I
I
will
don't want to really give
say,
that up.
as a dual ADHD household, because my husband also has ADHD,
Yeah.
I can tell you there's still a plenty of
Yeah.
chaos, even medicated. Like, it's not
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Medication, at least in my experience, my short amount of experience so far, and his experience, is it kind of just takes the edge off. Like,
Okay.
I wouldn't say that it dulls you. I say
Yeah.
just like it just makes things a little bit smoother. But
Cool.
that also said, if you don't want medication, don't take
Yeah,
medication.
yeah,
If
yeah. No,
if if
absolutely.
if there are tips, tricks, and tactics that work to help focus your ADHD,
Right.
by all
Yeah.
means, like,
I'm completely unchecked at this point.
I
So,
feel you. That was what I was like, I really want to write my book. I better go get this like
uh,
diagnosed, because
see, that's my problem too, is I've always wanted to write stuff and I've never had the focus to do it. So,
I
but
struggle, and especially when
yeah.
the world is chaos,
Yes.
I feel even more in
Yeah.
chaos.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
yeah, so this is definitely starting to help a little bit.
Well, good. Good. I'm glad to hear it. Well, that being said, why don't you let people know where they can find you online?
I am these days primarily on Blue Sky and Instagram as Sarah Stubbs Says. The podcast is Final Girls Feast on both, and Geeks Who Eats Pretty Quiet. We're not doing a whole lot these days. Um, Life is busy, and
Yeah.
who has, again, focus power. Um,
Yeah.
and I am freelance writing more. I've done some stuff for Daily Dead, Night Tide Magazine. I'm trying to think of who else I've done stuff for. I did an article with Daily Grindhouse.
Cool.
I think that's it. I'm like, I'm probably forgetting somebody. I still periodically write for Dabs Magic for non-horror stuff. And then, of course, my own site, sarahstubbsays.com. So,
All
and I'm
right.
on
Cool.
Letterboxd. If you want to know what I think about movies, Sarah Stubbs Says
I
on
follow you.
Letterboxd.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of movies. So,
I don't like, it's so funny too, because like I do and I don't. Like I'll go through periods where I watch a lot and then other times I don't. It's so, it's very, very iffy on what how often I post things, because I think I just recently posted, let's see, where is this?
man,
Oh,
if
I
I
was
watched,
watching.
I post it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, if I don't post the things I rewatch. I post the things that unless it's something I haven't watched in a while, then I'll post that I rewatched it. Like I didn't post that I watched Weapons today.
I didn't
But
used to, and then I decided that I was gonna, because I just wanted to know how many, like, I love stats and I pay for patrons,
yeah.
so I'm like,
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah,
want to
yeah.
know how many movies I watched in a year. Like, I want to know what commitment I made to film in a year,
I would have
and
gotten
it's too
patron again
much.
this year, but they didn't give me the option. They didn't do or at least I must have missed the Black Friday sale on it, because
I
I didn't
think
get it.
I think mine just maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like mine just renews at the Black Friday price.
Mine wasn't going to. It said renew, and then it was renew at the $49 rate, and I was like, no.
Oh,
So
wild. I wonder, I'm trying to think if mine did or not. I just never pay
yeah,
attention. It just
yeah.
doesn't.
So unfortunately, I do not have the patron anymore, which I liked, but
Well, you
yeah, I
could do
don't have.
Pro. Pro still
Yeah,
lets you have all the stats and stuff. You just don't get to do,
yeah,
I think it's you don't get to do the posters at the top.
yeah. Which is one of the things I actually like doing.
I do
So
too. I try to change mine all to the food. I'm like, if there's a food section in that movie, I'm like, oh,
it's
that's
too
what the
funny.
poster's gonna be.
That's too funny. All right. Well, thank you again for coming on the show. This was a lot of fun. It was
Yeah,
great to have you back.
it was
And we'll definitely
great.
have to get you on again sometime soon. A lot sooner
We should
than
do Texas
several
Chainsaw
years.
Massacre.
I'm
We
not
should
going to
just
do
do the
Texas Chainsaw.
franchise. Do the
No, it's
franchise.
terrible.
I will guide you through the franchise.
I think that was something we were going to do. I was going to have you on for a Texas Chainsaw double feature back when I was doing double features. And then I ended up, something happened. I couldn't end up doing it. And
I'm
then
sure
I
I was
just was
busy too. Like I think
I
life
think
just got in the way of all of
yeah,
us and
yeah. And then I was just like, after having watched multiple of them, because I did try, I was just like, I'm gonna watch these. I watched the first two. I watched what was available at the time. So I watched the first two, I watched the Netflix one, and then I watched, I think, the remake and the one after that, the remake and the prequel to the remake. And then I think that's all I've seen. And I was just like, I don't care. Like it was just like I don't dig these. They're fine. They're okay movies, but I just don't get why they're so hyped and like on it's the same with the Hellraiser movies. I've just never got into the Hellraiser franchise as
okay,
well.
I
So,
have watched the entire Hellraiser franchise and I can tell you there's like 3 that are good. Like the
yeah.
rest of them are
The
just
only
like meh.
the only ones I've seen are of the Hellraiser, the first two and the most recent one, the Hulu one.
Okay,
And those are the only two I've seen.
the third one is a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
then I forget which number it is, but there's one called Hellraiser Hellworld, and that's a video game one. And that one's kind of fun because it has a young Henry Cavill in it
Oh yeah, I've heard that.
and Lance Henriksen. So that one is kind of fun, but the rest of them are throwaways. Oh,
Yeah.
I did like the new one, the 2022, I think it
Yeah,
was. I
I
liked that
really
one.
like that one. Yeah, yeah, I just covered that one also a couple weeks ago. So that one was really fun. So not fun, I guess, but really good.
Enjoyable,
So,
good time.
enjoyable. Yeah.
It was a good
All
bad
right.
time.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, thank you again, and we'll definitely talk to you soon.
Cool.
Thanks for listening. Creepy and Geeky is produced and hosted by Robert Clark. If you like what you've heard, please consider giving the show 5 stars and a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And share the podcast on social media to help spread the word. Make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app or at creepyandgeeky.com. You can follow the podcast by going to creepyandgeeky.com and clicking on any of the social links. If you'd like to follow me, you can find my links at geekthulu.com. You can support the podcast by ordering teas and more on TeePublic or by donating to the coffee page. All of the links are in the show notes. Finally, don't forget, stay creepy.